Thank you. Thank you. Wow. It's an honor to stand before you. You watching those highlights and remembering those plays, remembering my teammates, remembering the different situations of the game in terms of, that happening, and but then also remembering when and how it started. Many of you, may know, growing up, Amherst, Massachusetts, small town kid. I was probably a buck 45 my senior year, soaking wet. And, I remember during a period or two should have been in class and I wasn't. And, you know, Coach Whipple, came to our high school and he sat down with my coach at the time, Coach Cullen, and being able to, talk to him and say, hey, we're looking for, your fullback, this, Mike Anabaku kid. We want him to come to UMass. And, my coach at the time saying, yeah, he's a good player, but, you should take a look at Ihedigbo. And he's like, yeah, he's too small. Let's talk about this fullback. But then later on, after you watch the tape, he said, okay, he has something to him. I'll definitely give him a shot. And I remember one of my first practices walking on the field was before Central Connecticut State. And Coach Whip was walking next to me, and he said, you know what, James? He's like, you can be anything you want to be here at UMass, but if you make your mind up, what do you want to be? You want to be another guy, or you want to be, one of the best? And that 2-minute, 2-second talk stuck with me. It stuck with me, throughout my time at UMass. I thank you, Coach, for giving me the opportunity. I thank you for seeing something in me that I didn't see in myself. So I salute you for that. Having the work ethic and, tenacity that many saw, and the backbone and not a no-quit attitude, that came from something outside of myself. It came from my parents. My mom, who's here, Dr. Rose Ihedigbo, who is a UMass grad herself, doctorate in education. And, for her work ethic to be able to, come from Nigeria with just a thought and a dream, aspirations, desire of what she wanted to accomplish, what she could accomplish if she was given the opportunity, and what she did accomplish when she was given the opportunity. When I was given the opportunity, there was nothing that was going to stop me. There wasn't a person, there wasn't a situation, there wasn't a mistake, there wasn't an obstacle, because I looked at it and said, well, if, she could do it, if my dad could do it, he got his doctorate from UMass as well, and if they could do it, what's stopping me from accomplishing anything that I wanted to? And so, here we are, going into the Hall of Fame, played 10 years in the NFL. I'd be remiss if I didn't salute my wife. She couldn't be here. We just had our son, Jeremiah Ihedigbo, 2 weeks ago, so she's home in Houston. So, I thank God for, truly giving me, a woman that, she's built for this. You try 10 years in the NFL, team calls, you got to pick up and move your whole family, get the kids into another school, that for 10 years. And, she's a UMass grad as well. There's something about UMass blood, I don't know. But, she's truly built for this, and she's been my backbone. She's sacrificed so much. She had her career in nursing, and she sacrificed that so I could pursue my dreams. So, I thank her from the bottom of my heart. I truly do. So can we give her a round of applause? Can we? Thank you. I could, talk about, so many different experiences. I wore my Super Bowl ring tonight, not just to be like, oh, hey, I have a Super Bowl ring, but to remember the foundation in which it was built upon. The 98 team, many of you, Kari Samuel, Koyai, Cliff. Cliff was my camp counselor when I was a young lad. But one thing I do remember, I was maybe in elementary school in 8th grade, and I went to the UMass Northeastern game. I think you guys beat them 77-0. And I remember sitting in the stands watching that game, and I was with a buddy of mine at the time, and he's a big offensive lineman, and I said to him, man, it would be awesome to play here. Like, man, you're big enough, you could play here. And he looked at me and said, James, you're good enough, you can play here. And, for that to kind of resonate in my spirit, and then, kind of be around those guys, Lance Overby, other guys pulling me under their wing and saying, hey, come work out with us. Maybe this little pup wet behind the ears and trying to keep up with these guys and, see Koyai sprinting past and all these guys putting in the work. But I looked at that and said, man, what are you willing to sacrifice to get what you want? How hard are you willing to work to get what you want? And that resonated with me my entire time here at UMass, was pushing my teammates. We were so talented, but talent is nothing without work ethic. And we had guys that were willing to lay it all on the line, whatever was asked. I was talking with Jeff, and we had guys that had tore MCLs saying, hey, I don't want to let my teammates down. Take me up, get me back in the game. That type of mentality where it was brotherhood. It was whatever it took to win the game. That's all that mattered. And that's what led me on to, play in the NFL, play for 10 years, being a tryout guy with the New York Jets and getting an opportunity, to show my talent and not letting anybody, it didn't matter where I was from or where you were from. It was, hey, when that whistle blows, you're gonna have to deal with me. You're gonna have to see we're gonna have to see what it's all about. So that mentality came from UMass. It resonated and was built and groomed, on Gladchuck. It was groomed on Dallas Mall on Saturday mornings. It was groomed in, Boyden Gym at 6 a.m. workouts when we're doing mat drills, and that's the last thing that you wanted to do after coming home from the bars too late, and then now you had to go to, so that's, it was groomed during that time. And, one thing that me and my mom and, my family, we've done before every game was we prayed before every game. We did it when I was at UMass. Before I stepped out on the field, I'd call my mom and, we'd pray. And one of the major prayers that she prayed for me was, it's in 1 Chronicles, and it was a prayer of Jabez. And it said, Jabez cried out to God and said, Lord, if you would expand my territory, if you would enlarge my territory, would your hand be upon me, and that you would cause me not to cause any pain, but be with me. And at the bottom of the scripture, and it said, and God granted his request. Today, me going into the Hall of Fame is a stamp of approval of that prayer that my mom's prayed over me my entire life, and God's granted the request. So, thank you. Thank you, guys.